Bashega, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Well, let's speak to Middle East expert and policy expert and former US Ambassador Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley. Gina, good to see you and thanks for joining us here on BBC News. Just first of all, just to get your thoughts on this latest attack and then Israel's vow to retaliate 7 times stronger, as they've put it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Frankie. Well, it is striking that after a year plus of conflict and war in the region, that it is the Yemenis that are left standing in responding in support of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. In spite of their long conflict with Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and of course the United States has been bombing Yemen for a year now. The Israelis have been bombing Yemen for a year. The UK has also, and yet still they stand. One of the things that we do not know is whether the United States or the United Kingdom believe that they have degraded Yemen's weaponry or their capability. And of course, we see they still have the capability to launch attacks. This in the face of the Israeli expected response, of course, to respond, continues the cycle. And we've seen this play out again and again and again with no end in sight. We did see the cessation of the attacks, of course, while the ceasefire held, which shows that there are multiple benefits if indeed a ceasefire can be resumed. Not only a chance for the hostages to be released, relief from the humanitarian crisis, but also a cessation of Yemeni attacks. They have been good to their word. When that ceasefire was in place, they did stop.
You talked there about the ceasefire and those ongoing talks, but then we hear reports from that the Israeli cabinet is going to potentially call up reservists and expand its military presence in Gaza. What do you take from that when people also want to talk about these ceasefire talks?
Indeed. Well, it's been clear even before the ceasefire was reached in January that the Israeli leadership was not that interested in one, that they were not prioritizing the safety, security, and return of the hostages. The record shows the hostages come home during negotiations and those ceasefires. So once you accept that they're not interested, the Israeli government, in a ceasefire, and Hamas has very little control over this. At this point, the Israelis were very effective in routing them in the Gaza Strip. Then it is the Israeli government's prerogative to march as far as they want or as far as the population will support the government. And we've seen demonstrations against the continuation of the war. We've seen demonstrations in support of a ceasefire and bringing the hostages home. We've seen those reservists resist being called up, expressions of exhaustion at this continued conflict, not only with Gaza, but with Lebanon, increasingly with Syria. They've taken land in Syria. And of course, with the Houthis, the U.S. government is not at this time interested in calling a pause. So it is up to Israel, the population itself, and those in the region to say what the cost is for continuing this. And so far, the cost is not sufficient to get the leadership to change.
OK, Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, Middle East expert and former US ambassador. Really good to get your thoughts on that. Thank you for joining me on BBC News.